Welcome to Moving Mattresses in 3-inch heels, celebrating women and the many hats and shoes they wear. Here we will dive into the ups and downs of womanhood with humor, heart, and wisdom, empowering you every step of the way. I'm Julia Jordan, and I'm thrilled to partner with you on this journey. Now you may be asking yourself, what the heck does moving mattresses in 3-inch heels mean? Well, it's literal. I was literally moving a mattress in 3-inch heels, my favorite pair no less. And I came to the realization that not only can women do anything, we do everything. We're going to focus on 5 pillars: metabolism, meditation, mental health, menopause, and I would be remiss if I didn't add the 5th, medical. It occurred to me when I was putting these metrics together, all 5 of the words do something that most women do not, and that is start with M-E. Start with me. So I'm going to amend my previous statement. Women can do anything, and we do everything, except prioritize ourselves. But it's time to. It's time for us to start with me. If you're ready to laugh, learn, and leap into a healthier, happier you, hit that subscribe button and join our wellness family. Let's go on this journey together of self-consideration as we discover how to start with me. Welcome to Moving Mattresses in 3-inch heels. I am your host, Julia Jordan, and today's episode is The Strength in Not Settling with Shannon Wilkerson. Hi, Shannon.
Hi, Julia.
Shannon is a mom. She is also a 4-time published author. Her latest book is Girl, Go For It, and it is a good book, and we will get to that. She is a personal and professional development coach, specializing working with single people. She is their biggest cheerleader, especially single moms. Her focus is going for what you want and not waiting or settling. Hi, Shannon. Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm so excited. One of the things I mentioned was your book, Girl, Go For It, and you give great advice. But I think what I like most about you or appreciate most about you is your willingness to be so open and vulnerable. I mean, you draw from your own experiences, and we know that you are giving advice from a place of understanding and empathy.
Yes. That was important for me to do because it helps me to connect with the audience and for them to connect to me.
I think so. Yeah, it really does resonate. And I will say that strong doesn't mean that we're not tired. It just means we're not settling. So when you're working with your clients or just in general in conversation, when we're in our most vulnerable, I mean, we're tired, we're discouraged, we're just having a day. That's when we tend to make not the best decisions. So how do we get ourselves through that valley, our low? What's that inner dialogue look like?
Well, it's with things like this, it's never something you've never heard before. It's usually the thing that we already know. We just need a reminder. So I just ask people to think about why they need to continue on. Like, what is the goal? What is the big picture? What is at stake if you don't? What is at stake if you don't do what's necessary in this moment? What if you make the wrong choice in this moment? What is on the line? I know that definitely works for me. Like I said, it's not a new concept. It's not a new thought, but it's one that works to bring you back to a place of, I have to keep going because of X, Y, Z. So it's always a good reminder to be reflective of why you're doing something, because it's easy to lose sight of why you're doing it when you're in the moment of doing so much.
Yeah. What are maybe some questions that you ask yourself? Like, what's at stake, or what's my why? Like, what do we do?
My biggest question that I ask myself is, what is it going to cost me if I don't? What is going to happen what am I going to be showing my children if I don't? If I don't get this done, what am I teaching them? Am I making it okay for them to not do the things that are necessary? What do I have to gain if I do it? What does that teach them? And so that usually brings me right back to the place I need to be, because how I'm raising them is so important, what I'm teaching them and who they become. So,
Right.
I want to make sure I'm giving them the best example.
And I think that's so important how we're raising our kids. I think women in their 40s and 50s, we all had a meeting and we're going to teach our girls some things that are the opposite of what we were taught or what society taught us. Sometimes it's not even our parents. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it's society, like not to take up space, be seen and not heard. And I think we're teaching our girls take up space and be heard.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think what you're talking about is being an example is so important. Not just do as I say, do as I do.
Yeah.
And it can be very inspiring because I think sometimes we get the mom guilt. Not sometimes, a lot of the
A
times.
lot of the time.
Yeah. And then we have to look at our kids and go, maybe didn't do such, maybe we're being too hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And I think we're our worst critics. But, we were talking about the strength in not settling. And there's so much power in not settling. But I know for me, and I think for a lot of people too, our mind goes directly to not settling in a romantic relationship. But there's so many relationships, friendships, relationships with our families, our kids, relationships with ourselves. And I think we do a disservice to ourselves that we put ourselves on the back burner. We get to everybody else first. And I feel like the relationship we're settling most with is the one with ourselves. So how do we change that?
So in my book, I talk about just going after the things that you want and not waiting for anything to happen before you start to pursue the goal, or waiting for someone to come and help you with the goal, but just to go out and just do what it is that you want to do. Go get what you want to get out of life. A lot of people are always waiting for an event to occur first. They're always waiting to get married, for help, for anything. And in my book, I just talk about stop being fearful. You already have what you need to get it done. It's already on the inside of you. Just go do it. The worst that can happen is you fail the first time, but you will also learn in that failure and be able to come back and do it the next time. So just to be true to yourself and what you really want out of life, and to go after that thing. Don't wait on anything. Don't settle for, things are okay the way they are, when in your mind you have a different plan that's better, but fear holds you back from pursuing it. Go do it. Go do it.
How do we go do it? Like, there is that fear. What's that thing that makes us take that first step?
Go do it scared. You know how many things I've
Go do
done
it scared.
I've done so many things that I was terrified to do, but you have to have that thing inside of you that just says, you know what, I'm just going to go for it. That is difficult for some people. It's not an easy thing, especially when you are scared of something. If you're super nervous about something, if you failed at it before, that's even worse, because then you're thinking, oh, I tried this before. But I just go back to, again, why? Why do I want to do this? What is it going to mean for my life if I actually do this? How is that going to change the quality of my life? What is it going to mean for me if I actually just go do it?
Yeah. Just go do it. I think for me, the thing worse than failure is wondering what if.
Absolutely.
Like, what if I actually accomplish and I won't know unless I just step out in fear.
Yeah, just do it. I think it's worse to sit back and realize what you could have done, and then to add, insult to injury when you have to watch other people do it, and you're like,
Yeah.
I can do that. I can even do that better than they did. Why didn't I just go and do it? I always tell my clients, there's somebody right now getting paid a lot of money and living very comfortably doing something that you do better than them.
That's good.
And that
I
stirs
love
up
that.
something in them. They get like, you know what, you're right. I'm cheating myself. And then it motivates them to go ahead and do it.
You talk about letting go of emotion, disappointment. Is that part of maybe what would be holding us back? So if it is, what do we do?
It's the same thing as with fear. Like I said before, it's maybe difficult to just jump out there, especially if you have failed at the thing before. So you become disappointed, or if you've been waiting for something to happen and it hasn't happened and since forever, and so you become disappointed, and so you start to trick your mind to feeling like it's not really important to you anymore because you haven't been able to do it. So you convince yourself, oh, I don't even really want that. It's not that big a deal. But it is, So you have to let go of, you have to detach yourself from the negative feelings associated with the thing and just stick to why I want to do this, what it means for me. The same thing. What does it mean for my life? What is it going to be like if I accomplish it? If I get this degree, what is that going to be like for me working in this career field that I love? What will I be able to provide for my family if I'm able to get that degree and get this job that I love? Just why? Why is it important? What does it mean for you? And let go, detach yourself from the feelings associated with it. I typically tell people to do that by writing it down. All the negative thoughts, all the negative words, things that you've told yourself, things that other people have said to you, write them down and tear it up and let go of it. So it's adding a physical step to something that's happening on the inside. So it's giving you like a physical movement to do to actually demonstrate that you're letting go of it.
I love that. Write it down, rip it up.
Write it down, tear it up, throw it away.
Love
and then
it.
also the other step is to replace those words and those thoughts. Because if you don't replace them, if you don't replace them, the other ones will creep back in. So you have to put something in its place.
Let's stay there a minute because I love that.
Cool.
So we need to replace our negative dialogue.
Yes.
With positive reinforcement dialogue. So we need to replace what we've been telling ourselves or what others have told us about ourselves.
Yes.
Which we unfortunately tend to accommodate. So we need to replace that with our true self.
Yeah.
Who we're supposed to be. So let's say I am really shy. What do I replace that with?
I'm outgoing. People like me. I'm not afraid to approach people. I have good conversation. I'm fun to be around. Whatever it is that you want to do, you want to be, that's on the inside of you, replace it with that.
Yeah. That's really good. I think just like having that constant reminder helps you discipline your mind to focus on the right things. And one of the things that I talk about in this podcast is meditation, but not necessarily in the traditional sense. It's the focus, because there's a meditation to what we focus on, and we start buying into whatever we focus on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So this is all well and good. Let's pursue, let's go. But here's the thing. We have responsibilities. So where do we find the time? Where's that me time? How do we do that?
That's a funny question. I don't have a lot of me time. Like literally
Uh-uh.
5 minutes before we sat down together, I was running up and down the stairs, watching the washing machine to see when it stopped so I can put the clothes in the dryer. I was trying to eat breakfast 2 minutes before we hopped on. So, and that's because in the morning my kids come first and their routines come first, and I have to do XYZ for them first. Um,
Yeah.
but I am learning, and I'll say learning because I am still what I consider a new mom. I've been a mom for 4 years. And so I am still learning to take time for me, to include me. So every morning is not like today. You know, some mornings I do sit down and eat breakfast with them and all those types of things. So I also, in that learning of putting aside time for myself, I also put time aside for my goals and things that I would like to pursue. And so I just schedule it. Like I put me on a schedule, just like my daughter's lacrosse is on a schedule. My stuff
Mm-hmm.
is on there too. So at on this day at this time, I do my schoolwork. On this day at this time, I'm working on writing my next book. You know, on this day and that time, I'm going to just rest. This is my rest time. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to close my door and ask my kids not to bother me. Because now, to be clear, I've been a mom for 4 years, but my kids are not 4 years old. They are older
Okay.
children, so they cannot bother me. So for me, it's a little bit easier because they do have some level of independence. But for moms
Mm-hmm.
that have little itty bitties at home, I would say try to wake up before them to work on your goals. Try to stay up after they go to sleep to work on your goals. And also pull on your community. You have your family, your friends, you know, ask them, hey, can you watch the kids for 2 hours so that I can go and speak at this event because I aspire to be a speaker, you know, or I need time to write. I want to publish my book. You know, ask people to help you. I had a really hard time asking for help because I've always been a person that does everything myself. But once I
Yes.
became a mom of two children, that's when it really hit me and I really realized that I need help. I need help. And so I definitely now know how to ask for it. I'll call my sister quick. Can you come over here for 2 hours, please?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's the key. Pull on the community.
It's so hard to ask for help, I think, as women. And you talk about always thinking we have to know the answer.
Yeah.
And you brought up how you have lost maybe some learning opportunities because of thinking, because society feeds us that we have to know all the answers.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're talking about asking for help, it's another thing. It's almost like a crime. Oh, I can do everything. And so just the act of asking for help. That's hard.
It is.
It's almost harder than going for your dreams.
It is.
How did you get there? Because I can't imagine that was easy the first time you asked for help.
It was either ask for help or go crazy. Because
Wow.
because I had just adopted 2 children, and I went from 0 children to 2 overnight, and it was a lot. It was a big adjustment. It was huge, a major thing in my life, and I knew I needed help. The wonderful thing about it is, initially, I didn't have to ask. My community saw and understood and knew that I needed help. So when I first brought my kids home, my mom on her own started coming over every day. So when things settled down and she wasn't coming over every day, I was already accustomed to having help. So then I was more comfortable saying, hey, could you, help me with this today? I kind of had an easy transition into asking for help because it was first volunteered. But I know that's not always the case for everybody. So what I would suggest is just ask the people who are closest to you, the people who you have a give and take relationship with. They love you. They love your kids, and they will help you because you have that relationship with them. So I think once you do it the first time, it kind of gets easier. I still don't ask for help very often. I don't think it's often. My mom might think it's often. But I have this thing about not bothering people, and it's like,
yes,
it's not a bother. Remember though, these people love you. So it's not a bother. I have to remind myself, my mother, my sister, my best friend, they love me. They love my kids. It's not a bother. And it's not all the time. So just keep reminding yourself, these are my people. We have that give and take relationship. I do things for them. They do things for me. And then it becomes easier to say when you need help.
So what I'm hearing is surround yourself with good people.
Absolutely.
And if the people in your life wouldn't say yes to you, especially if you're saying yes to them, find new people.
Find new people. Great example of that is that I just moved. I bought a home an hour away from where my family lives. So before, I used to live in a house walking distance to my mother's house. Can you imagine? That was wonderful. Becoming a new mom, my mother's walking distance. We can walk to her house. And so now, as of a year ago, I live an hour away. So I had to get to know the people in my community, get to know my neighbors, get to know other parents I have one daughter in school and one homeschool, but get to know the parents at the school, and just, start meeting people in the community, doing play dates with people. Now, I have not leaned on anyone for help yet, but I'm getting to know people so that if I had some emergency, I know my neighbors, I can ask them for help because I've taken the time to get to know them and to build a new community here. Even though I still have my core people, I also need to have people who are way up here with me an hour away. So I've been cultivating those relationships, and it's been fun. My kids got to make new friends. I have some new friends. We know the people who live around us. So we have a community here. My daughter's bike got messed up, and I was like, oh gosh, how am I going to fix her bike? So you know what I did? I sat on my porch with the bike, and I waited for a neighbor to come out. And I said, hey, can you fix her bike? You just get to know people. And he came over, he came across the street, he fixed her bike, and then she rode that bike every day. You know,
Oh,
so
wow.
you have to make your community. It can be done.
I, that's so important. Make your community,
Yeah,
because that's got to be part of pursuing your dreams.
absolutely.
Because even though we're the one putting ourselves out there, we can't do it alone.
No, you cannot.
We do need that community, whatever that looks like, whether it's family, friends, a combination. And the people that you're saying yes to, make sure they're saying yes to them too,
Absolutely.
or they're saying yes to you too. Yeah. And you talk about that yes and no balance.
Yeah.
Uh, Sometimes you do have to say no, or not now.
Yes.
And I know there's guilt associated with that. I have it. I think a lot of us do. How do we deal with the discomfort that's going on in our head by setting those boundaries?
Before I had children, I was just single me. Everyone relied on me for everything.
Yeah.
And even before I had kids, it didn't change when I had kids. I had already started to change before that, of maybe 2 years before that. I had started to transition to saying, you know what? I'm always everyone's extra set of hands. And so my stuff is not getting done. It was uncomfortable at first to start saying, no, I can't, not now, I'm not available. But I had to think about what it was costing me. I was not doing things for myself because I was always doing things for other people. And so I started to tell people, I really want to help you, but I'm not able to because I have to do this or that for myself. The most uncomfortable one was saying, I can't do that because I'm resting today. Because resting sounds like you're not doing anything, so why can't you help me?
Yes.
But hey, listen, I'm not going to make up something and say, oh, I have to do this and that. No, I have to sleep, And then like I mentioned in my book too, those same people who pull on you so much, you call them sometimes and they don't answer the phone because they are taking care of themselves. So why am I not taking care of myself? And now that I am a mom, I am really, really buckling down on that because I'm like, listen, I have 2 kids. I can't just get up and run over there and do this or that because that's taking away time from my children and things that we need to do. So slowly but surely, people stop asking me so much for it because it wasn't just my core people, it was everybody was asking me to do things. So people like my mom, my sister, my close people who also help me out, I still do as much as I possibly can for them. But they ask less because they know now my priorities are different. So,
it's an evolution.
And again, and it's a balance thing. Just about my mother, she knows she can ask me for anything in this world and I'm going to run and do it. I don't care what's going on, I'm going to do it. But she doesn't take advantage of that. So I would say just be careful of be careful to not allow people to take advantage of the fact that you're willing to come to their aid and to assist.
Again, surround yourself with the right people.
Yeah. And then you don't take advantage of other people either.
Oh, no, right.
That's the other side of it.
That's true. Yeah, it's both. It's the give and the take.
Yes.
And what I hear is just not settling, again, in your relationships with community, but also with yourself. That's being true to yourself, what you just said. You talk about the difference between patience and not waiting. And when you're talking about adopting children, that had to be just such that takes some time to decide this is the right thing for me. And then you have to wait for the kids So talk about being patient. So, um, talk about in your own experience, like the difference between patience and not waiting.
So, well, first of all, my adoption was the biggest example that I could ever give anyone on doing it scared. Because I was scared, but my fear was way far outweighed by the fact that this was something that I really wanted, and I was thinking about what it was going to add to my life. So, and it's also a good example of being patient but not waiting when it comes to a spouse. So obviously, I would like to be married. Obviously, if I'm a family person, I want to have kids and a husband and all that good stuff. Um, so I am being patient and waiting for that. And that's demonstrated by the fact that I am not trying to move that process along any faster than it needs to. I am enjoying this phase of my life. I enjoy being single me with no responsibilities other than myself. Now I'm enjoying being a single parent to my children and having them all to myself. And I just enjoy every part of my life. So I'm not waiting to live. I'm doing what I need to do every day and enjoying it while I am patiently, waiting for this thing to happen, to manifest, to be my turn. In the meantime, I am still living, and I wanted to be a mother. And though it wasn't the traditional way, it was something that I had control over if I wanted to control it. And so I did what I could do to make that a reality for my life. I can't do much about the husband part. I have to literally just, when it comes, it comes. But I could do something to become a mother. And that's what I wanted to do. I was 40 and I was like, look, I'm not going to wait till I'm 100 years old to be trying to chase kids around. Like, I need to be doing that now, like while I'm still have all this energy to go and do it, because I wanted to be able to give them a life that was fun and not give them a mom that was tired. And I wanted to still be young and able to run around. So I was like, this is the time to
Shannon, just to be really clear, you're too amazing. If you wanted to be married, you could be. You're not settling.
And that goes
There's a whole lot more sense.
And that goes right back to not settling, because I could have decided, oh, I want to be married, so this is great. He proposed, let's do it. But I have to look at the whole situation and not settle for something that for me is not God's best.
Right.
That doesn't mean it was a bad person. Doesn't mean it was a bad person, just not the best for me. And now that's even more of a big deal because of the kids. Because now he has to be a good match for me and for them.
Yeah.
It's not just about me anymore. So I'm just praying, okay, God, you see this, right? You see this, right? You know what I want. I know what you have. So let's do this. But I'm living in the meantime.
Yeah, and I love that. And you're not letting society dictate, we're supposed to do it this way. It's like, well, I'm going to do it this way. Yeah. Let's talk about your anthology project for single women.
Uh-huh. So I wrote my book for single women, and I would like to start an anthology where other single women I'm going back and forth between doing one or the other, or just doing two anthologies, because I want to capture stories of single women but then I also want to capture stories of single mothers. So I'm still debating if that's going to be one anthology that just includes both single women who may not have children and then single moms, or if I want to do two separate anthologies. So the goal is to put together a book where I have 10 to 15 stories of single parents, single women, where they are sharing their stories of singleness or single parenting. And the goal is to inspire and motivate other single women and other single parents. So I would love to be able to put that together with about 20, 25 other writers who, well, if there's two anthologies, about 25 writers, with just one, about 10 to 15 maybe. And just put that together and maybe even start a project where this is ongoing. Maybe we'll do different volumes of the book and just continue to share stories, because I know there are a lot of single women who have, just like me, mapped out their path and went after it. And I know that there are other single women who didn't quite do that and could use that motivation. And then I know there are single parents who are hurting because they didn't expect to be a single parent. That was a surprise. Or they just have the day-to-day struggle. So to have something that is motivating and encouraging, and to say it's not just you, there's a lot of us. This is your community, and just to encourage people.
So this is a project really just women helping women and encouraging women.
Absolutely.
You weren't expecting this, but that's called life, but we'll get you through.
Yep.
Yeah, whether we're the ones that are inspiring or need to be inspired.
Yes.
Love it. Last question. What is the number one question or concern women or your clients come to you with?
The number one thing that I see in almost all of my clients is being fearful. Because when they tell me all their different things, the root always goes back to being fearful.
Yes.
And then the other one is being consistent, but a lot of them are not consistent because they are fearful. So it kind of all goes back to the same root cause, which is the fear, which is why I wrote that whole book about it, because it's such a big thing for all of my clients. Not being consistent and being fearful of how they're going to be received, what people are going to say, and then they mask it by saying different things like, I don't want people in my business. How in the world are you going to have a business and people aren't in your business? What does that even mean? But what they're really saying is, I'm afraid to tell the world what I want to do, because if I don't do it, I'm going to be embarrassed. So everything leads back to fear. That's the root of almost all the issues.
So there are a ton of takeaways from this conversation. You gave a lot of advice that I think we can implement. The biggest one for me is just do it, and do it scared.
Yes.
So that's going to be our thing, Shannon. Do it scared.
Do it. Just do it scared.
Love it. Shannon, thank you so much for taking the time. Shannon's book, Girl, Go For It, is amazing.
Thank you.
It's a great advice for women. And like I said at the beginning, we know you're talking from your own experience.
Yes.
So you're giving advice through understanding and empathy. And it really does resonate. So from now on, we're going to do it scared.
Just jump. Take the leap.
Do it. Take the leap. Love it. Thanks, Shannon. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me today on Moving Mattresses and 3-inch heels. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest tips for living your best life. Until next time, stay fabulous, and remember, your wellness journey matters. Self-care is a necessity, and it does not require an apology. I'll see you soon.